What's up, crew? CptAshes here, and today we're going to be taking a ride in my brand new 2016 Dodge Challenger. Alright, let's go ahead and pull out here. So, this is the Dodge Challenger SXT Plus, which means that it is the V6 3.6 liter VVT V6 engine. And even though it's a V6, automatic transmission, 8-speed, it's still got quite a bit of get up and go. I've been very pleasantly surprised with how much ass this car can actually haul. And when I was picking it out at the dealership, I was really torn between the V8 and the V6. Especially, they had a V8 shaker pack, so it's got a shaker on the hood. They had that there at the dealership and it was on sale and it was super tempting. But when you get the V8, there's actually a gas guzzler tax that you have to pay, which they do not factor into the price of the car. There's higher insurance usually on a V8. There's several other expenses involved with it, on top of the fact that your gas mileage is going to be way worse. And this is my daily driver. This is what I drive to work. This is what I drive to my friends' houses. I drive this everywhere. In fact, I've had it for 2 weeks and a day. Yeah. So 2 weeks as of yesterday, and I have 992 miles on it so far. I've been driving it quite a bit. Granted, in the first weekend I got it, I put 300 miles on it just because I wanted to know the car. I wanted to get used to it, get used to how it handles, how it feels, how wide it is, how long it is, all that other stuff. Because when I go to work, I actually have to park in a parking garage, which is nice because it's covered and it's an okay parking garage, but it's really, really tight. And so I needed to know for sure that I wasn't going to put a nice big racing stripe on the side of my car in that parking garage. So why a Dodge Challenger? Well, my absolute favorite car of all time, besides the DeLorean from Back to the Future, is the Interceptor from Mad Max, which is a 1973 Ford Falcon XB GT. And that car I have just a love affair with. I'm absolutely crazy about it. And I've been wanting to get one for a long time. And it was about the same price as this car. But that would just be the base Ford Falcon with all of its rust and all of its age. It wouldn't have a new motor. I mean, these are produced in the 70s in Australia only. So it's going to come with all those problems, and I needed a daily driver. So that really wasn't going to work for that. Then I'd have to have somewhere to store it. I'd have to have a garage to work on it. The gas would be just atrocious because with the older engines, they needed the high octane stuff. We got a lot of watered down gasoline now, and on those older engines, they have to have the super unleaded gas. So the most expensive one you see at the gas station, that's all that would take, and it gets about 8 miles to the gallon. So even though I really, really want the Mad Max car, it is not practical in any way, shape, or form, at least not right now. As a project car and, you know, an old restoration muscle car in the future, yeah, probably. But right now, for a daily driver, I needed something that would actually do what I needed it to do. And the Dodge Challenger actually has a very, very similar body type to the Ford Falcon. There's several differences, but in a lot of ways, it looks exactly like it. So I ended up going with this because it fit everything I needed it to do. It gets 23 mpg in the city, which I usually do about 22.5, and 30 on the highway. And I've not actually been on the highway very much in this thing. The highways where I live are awful and usually slower than the back roads. So why do we have the highways? I have no idea. But the gas mileage is good, and it's got all the safety features and all the bells and whistles of a 2016. I've got a really cool touchscreen display. It's 8.4 inches. It's got the Uconnect system, which is awesome. I've got a spot to plug in an SD card. I've got the actual digital gauges as well as the retro 1970s tachometer and speedometer up here. You know, I've got all the controls on the wheel. It's got all the comfort of today, but on the outside it looks like a muscle car. When it came down to choosing this, I was actually between the Mustang, the Camaro, and the Challenger. The Camaro a little less, but the Mustang, you know, because it's a Ford, Falcon was a Ford, they look kind of similar, but especially with the 2015 and the 2016 in particular for the Mustang, they just don't look like Mustangs anymore. They're starting to round off all the edges, and it doesn't look like a muscle car. It doesn't. It looks like a luxury car, I guess. Whereas the Challenger looks like a muscle car. Like, when you're looking at this car from the outside, there's no mistaking this is a muscle car. Even though it's not from the 70s, I mean, the original Challengers were, but it's a muscle car. It's got all the look that I was going for. So that was a big factor. So, what are some of the complaints I have about the car? Well, for one, I have, like, no visual range behind the seats. So when I'm trying to back up, if I'm trying to look out the back or even just like check the sides to see who's coming, anything past the seat here is a blind spot. The back window is decently sized, but it's super hard to see through. I mean, this car from the back on is a blind spot. But luckily I've got the backup camera. I've set my mirrors up properly so that way I don't actually have any blind spots on my sides. So it's not too bad. I'm getting used to it. I'm actually getting pretty good with the backup camera now. Other than that, the car itself is kind of heavy, and I'm not sure that this is a complaint. You can feel how heavy it is when you're driving, and it's kind of a cool feeling. This car does weigh in at 4,000 pounds, but it's still got good gas mileage regardless. I guess if anything, I feel kind of safer in it. But it is rather heavy, and I know that's been a point of complaint for a lot of reviewers reviewing the vehicle, just compared to the Mustang and other such vehicles. Whoops. Sorry about that. I should probably make the camera stationary, you know, mounted to something. I don't actually have a dash mount. This is just a tripod standing over on the passenger side here. So the front upper suspension arm for this car is so poorly designed. It should really be factory recalled. And I think they did this for the 2015, and I don't know how far back they've been doing this, but it's the worst. It's the absolute worst. If you look in your wheel well on the front, you're gonna notice that your tire sits 1 inch below a giant bolt that is holding your upper suspension arm in place. It's part of the suspension arm setup, and it's this huge, nasty bolt. And I've seen pictures of people who have taken off their old tires and gotten new tires, and there is a line on their front tires that's just been dug into, because if you do any sort of a movement, any sort of, you know, like a bump or anything, you're gonna start rubbing your tire against that bolt. Now you can shave the bolt off a bit, and I'm probably gonna do that and see if there's a rubber cap that I can put on it, so that way it's not causing so much damage. But it's just super poorly designed. That coupled with the fact that the suspension is very tight, so you feel every bump in this car. I don't know, man. It just seems like a bad idea. Other than that, I really don't have too many complaints about this vehicle. I guess the ceiling's a little low when you're sitting in a full upright position, though I have kind of a longer torso, so it's probably just me. The back is actually very, very spacious, especially behind the passenger seat. Not so much behind the driver, but that's okay. This car's not designed, you know, to really carry 4. And the trunk's really large, which is nice. The battery's in the back. I've got the spare in the back as well, right next to the battery, which is lowered into the trunk. I guess my only other complaint would be that Here, I'll just go ahead and show you. So here we've got the center console, and as you can see, we've got the shifter right here, and then right behind it are cup holders. So if I'm trying to shift, my arm goes right over the cup holders. So that's kind of poorly positioned. That, and I don't have a place to really put my phone. I'm thinking this is for wallet, but I usually just lean my phone up in there. So a couple minor things, but really, overall, I am super happy with this car, and I would be more than happy to make more videos for you guys in the future. If that's what you want to see, just let me know. Thank you guys so much for joining me. It's been great having you. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by leaving a like and a comment, and be sure to subscribe for more videos. I'll see you guys in the next one.